You probably have been knocked down before. Everyone has, right? Life hits us all differently. But there's one thing that sets successful people apart from the rest. It's not their circumstances. It's how they choose to respond. What if I told you that your hardest moments could be the fuel for your greatest growth? How do people turn failure into victory? How do you turn a setback into a setup for success? Today, we'll dive into the power of adversity and how it can be the driving force behind your personal transformation. We'll uncover the secrets behind using challenges to elevate yourself. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to turn any struggle you're facing into a powerful stepping stone for your future. In this video, we're going to talk about why adversity isn't just something to get through. It's an opportunity for personal growth. You'll hear real-life stories of people who faced overwhelming challenges, yet turned them into the fuel for their success. Whether you're dealing with personal, professional, or emotional setbacks, this is the video you need to watch. Let's transform obstacles into triumphs together. Adversity. It's a word we all know too well. Whether it's a sudden loss, a financial setback, a broken relationship, or even the inner battles we face every day, adversity is something that crosses every person's path. But here's the thing. Adversity is not the problem. How do you respond to it is. Adversity is the way life tests us, challenges us, and pushes us beyond our limits. It is the inevitable part of growth, and without it, there's no progress. Think about it. Would you even know how strong you are if you never had to face any struggle? Would you have the resilience you have now if you hadn't gone through some hardship? Sometimes, life seems unfair. It throws curveballs that seem impossible to overcome. But adversity often brings us the lessons we need for the next level. It's during these difficult times that we are forced to reevaluate our values, beliefs, and priorities. The key to using adversity as fuel lies in understanding that these challenges are an invitation to grow. Instead of perceiving adversity as a challenge, we must change our thinking about it. We become an empowered mindset when we understand that our toughest times will lead to our biggest breakthroughs. Remember that the best diamonds are cut in pressure. The people most resilient are those cut from adversity. And just like them, you can opt to rise, stronger, better, and more determined than before. Now that we know what adversity is, the question becomes, how do we change our perception about it? From seeing adversity as something to be scared of, to finding victory in adversity. This is where one bends the struggle into strength. Most of us have been conditioned to always avoid pain. We perceive adversity as something negative, something that indicates something is wrong or that we are being treated unfairly. What if adversity was not a sign of failure, but of growth and progress? What if each challenge was just an opportunity not to defeat us but to define us? The power of shifting your perspective lies in reframing the way to change how you see things. What used to be a roadblock is now a stepping stone. What used to be a failure became a lesson. Every challenge presented to you has the potential to present you with learning something new about yourself and the world around you. Think about building a muscle. The more you lift, the stronger you become. It's not the weight that defeats you, but how you approach it. That applies to adversity too. If you view every battle as something to sharpen your resilience, then you start seeing that as a tremendous resource. It's all about shifting your mindset. For example, take Thomas Edison, who failed over 1,000 times before he was able to develop the light bulb. Rather than viewing failure as a defeat, he said, "I have not failed. I've just found 1,000 ways that won't work." That's the kind of mindset change we need. Every time we fail brings us nearer to success, if we don't quit. So, the next time you face adversity, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this experience push me to grow? Shift your perspective, and you'll see adversity not as something to be feared, but something to embrace. As she says, here's the important question. What if everything you have faced, the failures, heartbreak, and tough times, are not roadblocks, but stepping stones to something much greater? What if you can change your mind about how you see adversity, from enemy to mentor? Changing the way you perceive adversity is the first step in transforming that adversity into fuel for personal growth. During a storm, it's easy to feel completely helpless, like the world is falling apart. But if you take a step back and shift your perspective, you could see that those difficulties are forcing you towards something better. Think about it. Every adversity forces you to make a choice. You can either let it break you, or you can use it as an opportunity to rise above. When you choose to see adversity as a lesson, as a growth opportunity, it becomes easier to navigate through it. Your pain isn't pointless. It's paving the way for a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. One of the most potent ways to change your perspective is to redefine failure. We so often see it as a dead end, a permanent loss. But the truth is, failure is not final. It is temporary. In fact, failure is one of the most effective teachers in life. Every time you fail, you're learning what does not work. And then, armed with that information, you get closer and closer to discovering what does work. People like Thomas Edison, who failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb, never saw failure as something terrible. He viewed it rather as a chance to learn. "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work," he famously said. This is the kind of thinking you must develop when something goes wrong. Every disappointment is just an opportunity to make some adjustment and correction. Now, how do you begin changing your mind today? It is to ask yourself one simple question. What is this experience trying to teach me? It's about shifting from a victim mindset to a growth mindset. Adversity no longer feels like something happening to you. It becomes something happening for you. The next time you face a challenge, take a deep breath and ask yourself, how can this help me grow? This subtle shift in thinking will change how you approach every difficult moment in your life. You will stop dreading hardship and develop a sense of confidence because it is supposed to happen. Okay, so let's dig a little deeper. How science dictates that actual adversity can work in favor of personal development. I'm talking about the brain, processing stress, and building resilience. You see, personal growth is more than just a motivational buzzword. It's rooted in real science. When we go through challenges, our body responds with a stress response. The fight or flight system is activated and adrenaline rushes into our body. But here's the interesting thing. This stress response isn't just about survival. It can also pave the way for growth. Researchers have found that the brain has an amazing capacity to adapt and rewire itself. This is called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to reorganize itself in response to learning or experience by forming new neural connections. In other words, when we face challenges, the brain responds by adapting, making us stronger, more resilient, and better equipped to handle future adversity. Think of it as the brain's way of growing in response to hardship. Just as lifting weights builds your muscles, trying times build up your mind. Resilience is a skill you build over time, and each tough time you face works like another set in the gym for your mental toughness. Research also shows that those people who are actively engaged with difficulties, who tackle adversities head-on, cope with future stressors better. This means that the more you have to live through, the more ready you are for what comes next. So growth is not only a result of adversity, it is an activity of enhancing the mind and body. Let's go further. Failures often brought by adversity can actually help sharpen your cognitive flexibility. Cognitive flexibility is the brain's ability to adapt to new and unexpected situations. When you fail and learn from that failure, your brain adjusts so that in the future it can handle similar situations much better. Think about it. Haven't you noticed that when you go through difficult situations, when it's all over, you have come out the other end knowing yourself better? You feel more capable of facing life's next round of stuff. That is your brain reconfiguring to make you better prepared for what comes next. The ultimate form of growth is learning from adversity and then using that adversity as the very thing that will fuel your success in the future. Finally, mindset. Recent research has found that the more one is oriented toward a growth mindset, actually believing that their abilities and intelligence can develop over time, the likelier one is to be a success. So by just seeing adversity differently, you're literally rewiring your brain to be more resilient. All right, so we've covered mindset and the science behind how adversity fuels growth. But let's get real world. What can you actually do when adversity strikes? How do these concepts apply to your life to make struggle into strength? Let's break it down into actionable steps. It is simple, yet powerful. Accept the challenge. When adversity knocks, a common human tendency is to resist it, fight it, or even ignore it. Here's the truth. You cannot change what you refuse to acknowledge. Acceptance doesn't mean you need to like the situation, but it does mean you stop fighting against it. Instead of asking, "Why me?" ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" Accept that adversity is part of the process, and by doing so, you open the door to learning and growth. Once you accept the challenge, you can start planning your next steps. Step 2. Focus on what you can control. In every difficult situation, there will be things that are beyond your control. You can't control how other people react, you can't control the economy, and you can't always control the outcome of every situation, but you can control your response. Ask yourself, what is in my control right now? It could be your attitude, your mindset, or the actions you take moving forward. Shifting your focus away from things you can't change gives you the power to take productive action in the areas that matter. Step 3. Learn from setbacks. Every setback is a lesson in disguise. Rather than viewing your failures as negative, take time to reflect. What did you learn from this? What will you do differently next time? The more you reflect on your challenges, the more you can extract valuable lessons to carry forward. J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter author, was rejected by multiple publishers before her book became a global phenomenon. She once said, "It is impossible to live without failing at something, unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all." Failure, setbacks, they're all part of the journey. Use them as stepping stones to improve, grow, and get closer to your goals. Step 4. Build resilience with small wins. Building resilience is like building a muscle. It takes time and practice. One of the most effective ways to do this is by setting small, achievable goals in the face of adversity. These small wins build your confidence and show you that you are capable of moving forward, no matter how tough things get. Start with tiny steps, like organizing your workspace, making one phone call, or completing a task that feels manageable. Each small victory will add up and strengthen your belief in your ability to overcome challenges. Resilience grows with every step you take toward your goals, no matter how small. Step 5. Tap into the strength of positive self-talk. How you talk to yourself when things are getting hot matters. Negative thoughts will only drain your energies and sabotage your progress. When you are faced with adversity, it is critical to replace self-doubt with self-empowerment. Instead of thinking you can't do this, change it to "I will figure it out." Begin with daily affirmations. Remind yourself that challenges in your way are opportunities to grow, and you can face and overcome everything coming your way. Your inner dialogue is a very effective tool for propelling your mindset and outcomes. Step 6. Surround yourself with support. No one achieves greatness alone, especially in tough times. Reach out to friends, mentors, or a community that lifts you up. Isolation makes adversity feel even heavier, but when you have people around you who believe in you and remind you of your strength, the journey becomes a little easier. Whether it's a friend who listens, a coach who guides, or a support group that inspires you, having a network can make all the difference. It is as if there is a team that helps you push through those tough times and cheers you on when you feel like giving up. And finally, step 7. Keep moving forward. The most important part of overcoming adversity is simply not giving up. Every time you take a step forward, no matter how small, you're making progress. Even on the days when you don't feel like it, keep going. Keep putting one foot in front of the other. It is easy to feel stuck when things become tough, but even in the hardest times, forward motion is progress. And when you look back, you'll realize that your persistence is what transformed you into the person you are meant to be. All right, we covered the mindset and science on how adversity fuels growth. But let's get practical. What can you do when it actually strikes? How can you apply these concepts to turn the struggle into strength? Let's break it down to action. The first step is simple, but powerful. Accept the challenge. When adversity hits, your first instinct might be to resist it, fight it, or even ignore it. But here's the truth. You can't change what you're not willing to acknowledge. Acceptance doesn't mean you have to like the situation, but it does mean you stop fighting against it. Instead of asking, "Why me?" ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" Accept that adversity is part of the process, and by doing so, you open the door to learning and growth. Once you accept the challenge, you begin to plan your next steps. Step 2. Focus on what you can control. In every difficult situation, there will be things that are beyond your control. You can't control how other people react. You can't control the economy, and you can't always control the outcome of every situation. But you can control your response. Ask yourself, what is in my control right now? It could be your attitude, your mindset, or the actions you take moving forward. Shifting your focus away from things you can't change gives you the power to take productive action in the areas that matter. Step 3. Learn from setbacks. Every setback is a lesson in disguise. Instead of viewing your failures as something negative, take time to reflect. What did you learn from this? What would you do differently next time? The more you reflect on your challenges, the more you can extract valuable lessons to carry forward. J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter's author, was rejected by many publishers before her book turned out to be an international bestseller. She said, "It is impossible to live without failing at something, unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all." Failure, setbacks, they're all part of the journey. Use them as stepping stones to improve, grow, and get closer to your goals. Step 4. Build resilience with small wins. Building resilience is like building a muscle. It takes time and practice. It is one of the very effective ways to achieve this with small, achievable goals in face of adversity. These little wins build your confidence, showing you that you are moving forward no matter how much things get tough. Start small steps, perhaps by decluttering a space, making one phone call, or doing something manageable. Each of these victories will build on each other and help you believe that you can prevail. The more steps you take toward your goals, no matter how small, the greater your resilience will be. Step 5. Use the power of positive self-talk. How you speak to yourself during tough times matters. Negative thoughts will only drain your energy and sabotage your progress. When you're facing adversity, it's critical to replace self-doubt with self-empowerment. Instead of thinking, "I can't do this," shift to, "I will figure this out." Start practicing daily affirmations. Remind yourself that challenges are actually opportunities for growth and that you can conquer anything that comes your way. Your inner dialogue is a powerful tool for shaping your mindset and your outcomes. Step 6. Surround yourself with support. No one achieves greatness alone, especially in tough times. Reach out to friends, mentors, or a community that lifts you up. Isolation makes adversity feel even heavier, but when you have people around you who believe in you and remind you of your strength, the journey becomes a little easier. Whether it's a friend who listens, a coach who guides, or a support group that inspires you, having a network can make all the difference. It's like having a team that's helping you push through the tough times and cheering you on when you feel like giving up. And finally, step 7. Keep moving forward. The most important part of overcoming adversity is simply not giving up. Every time you take a step forward, no matter how small, you're making progress. Even on the days when you don't feel like it, keep going. Keep putting one foot in front of the other. It's easy to get stuck when things get tough. But even in the toughest times, forward motion is progress. And when you look back, you'll realize that your perseverance is what changed you into the person you're meant to be. We've come a long way today, exploring how adversity can be the very thing that propels us forward, fuels our growth, and shapes us into the best versions of ourselves. From shifting your mindset to actionable steps, and even learning from the stories of those who've walked this path before us, one thing is crystal clear. Adversity isn't something to fear, it's something to embrace. Ultimately, it all comes down to this. You have the power in your hands to determine how you respond to adversity. You can let defeat you, or you can take it and get stronger, wiser, and more resilient over time through every setback. Remember, growth doesn't happen when everything is easy. Growth happens when you push through the tough times, When you choose to see adversity as an opportunity rather than an obstacle, you begin to unlock your full potential. You begin to realize that no challenge is too big to overcome. As we close today's video, let me leave you with this. Strongest trees grow in the toughest of soils. The greatest growth comes out of the struggles in your life, and if you embrace them, you will find that you can really weather any storm that is coming your way. Then take lessons from today and apply them in your own life. Accept the challenge. Learn from setbacks. Focus on what you can control. Build up small wins to develop resilience. And most importantly, keep moving forward, no matter what. If you found this video helpful, and if you're ready to start using adversity to fuel your personal growth, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I'll be sharing more motivational content to help you on your journey. And remember, every step you take today brings you closer to the best version of yourself. Don't forget to comment below and share your own experiences with adversity, how you've overcome challenges and used them to grow. I'd love to hear your stories. Thanks for watching, and let's continue growing together.